give you guys a little narration as we go. I'm down in front of the Arizona State Capitol building, and I really wish I wore a baseball cap, but the gist of what I'm going to say, if you are a resident of Arizona, if you are a resident of District 23 in Scottsdale, if you live in District 23 in Scottsdale, today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be warning Arizona residents about SB 1300. SB 1300, the body cam footage that is written by John Kavanaugh, an Arizona state senator who's in District 23. You have to know this information right here. This is some very important stuff here that I'm going to show you guys today. So I'm going to read you guys a story first. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a story from New Mexico. I'm going to read a direct article from USA Today. This is the Arizona State Senate building right here in downtown Phoenix. So and then we're going to talk about SB 1300. So this right here is a very sad story. This isn't going to be a great story to hear, but you're going to understand why I'm telling it in relationship to SB 1300 and why, if you live in District 23, you should consider voting out John Kavanaugh. John Kavanaugh is an ex-cop of 20 years. John Kavanaugh wrote SB 1300. This is the legislation. This is the legislation for the body cam footage in the state of Arizona. And I'm going to read the actual legislation of the body cam footage in a moment. But first, I want to preface you guys on letting you know that SB 13 is written by Senator Kavanagh. Senator Kavanagh is an ex-cop of 20 years. The guy who wrote the body cam footage rules for the state of Arizona is an ex-cop of 20 years. You think maybe he has a vested interest in protecting the police state, prison state that we live in? Do you think maybe John Kavanaugh of District 23? Does anybody challenge John Kavanaugh of District 23 from Scottsdale, Arizona? He's the one that wrote SB 1300. SB 1300 is the body, specifically, it's the body cam footage rules for body cameras of Arizona cops here in the capital of Phoenix and across the entire state. It's written by an ex-cop. John Kavanaugh was a cop for 20 years. He wrote the body cam footage. Why did an ex-cop write the body cam footage? How come no one's looked into this before? So I'm going to read you a story right down here, and this story comes out of New Mexico from USA Today. The woman's name is Kimberly Beck. You can look her up. On March 21st, 2020, my son, Charles Lawrence, Gage, we called him, was driving back to Colorado after completing a job in Texas on Sunday morning. When my son's best friend alerted me that no one had seen or heard from my son in over 24 hours, I knew something had gone terribly wrong, writes Kimberly Beck of her son, Gage. We began calling police and sheriff's department along the route he usually traveled home in an attempt to locate him. Like any mother, my imagination ran with worry, but even worst case scenarios I feared paled in comparison to what eventually I found out happened to Gage that night in New Mexico. These are going to tie together in a moment, but first you have to hear Kimberly Bell's story. After making calls for over an hour, a sheriff's department in New Mexico gave me the horrifying details of why Gage had not come home. The detective informed me that there had been an incident that, as he described it, my son had been shot by a national park ranger twice. Gage was dead. He was dead. Despite the fact that Gage had identification in his truck, no one bothered to let me know that my son had been killed. So this is from Kimberly Bell. Let me make sure I have it proper. Kimberly Beck. Kimberly Beck is the mother of Charles Lawrence, also known as Gage. Now these are going to tie together. The bill in Arizona, the body cam bill, SB 1300. How you guys doing? Where's everybody from? Drop down where you guys are watching from so I know. Is anybody in Arizona in District 23 maybe? Because SB 1300, it's written by Senator Kavanaugh of the Arizona State Senate, and Senator Kavanagh was a cop for 20 years and he wrote the body cam footage rules. Wait till I open up these. Wait till I read these rules to you. But first, let's finish Kimberly Bell's, I'm sorry, am I saying her name? I keep saying her name incorrectly. Kimberly Beck. You guys can look her up. Kimberly Beck. Utter lack of transparency and justice when her son Gage was shot and killed by a park ranger in New Mexico. The park ranger had on a body cam, and that's going to tie together why I'm standing in front of the Arizona State Capitol building. It has taken months to piece together what happened during the traffic stop that led to Gage's murder. Our family had to hire an attorney to make public record requests to piece together the barest outline of what happened. This is what we found out. My son had been driving through Carlsbad Caverns National Park when he was pulled over for a minor traffic stop. He was not in the possession of drugs or alcohol. The coroner confirmed that he was not intoxicated. My son, who had a peaceful temperament, level-headed by nature, somehow ended up in an altercation with a park ranger that left Gage dead. The park ranger was wearing a body cam footage. That's going to tie right into this in a second. My family thought we would have more answers when, months later, we obtained the footage from the body camera the ranger was wearing. As horrifying as it was to watch, it was more traumatic. Oh, no. I need this. Sorry, there's only so many rocks here. I put some rocks on top of those papers so we don't lose them. So for the people who are new here, good to see everybody. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. I'm exposing right now a state senator named John Kavanaugh in District 23 in Arizona. That's the Scottsdale area. John Kavanaugh is an ex-cop of 20 years, and he wrote the body cam footage policy for the state of Arizona. And now I'm reading a story by Kimberly Beck, the mother of Gage, Charles Lawrence, who was shot and killed by a park ranger in New Mexico. I'm going to tie these together for you rather quickly. So, months later, we obtained the footage from the body camera that the ranger was wearing. As horrifying it was to watch, it was more traumatic to discover that right at the moment when things escalated, the video went blank for 26 seconds. What's that? Oh, you mean the cops have a right to review the body cam footage here in Arizona? They do. They do. It's going to get really good. Wait till I read SB 1300. Whatever happened during the 26 seconds appears to have been edited out. What I did see was the ranger pressing his gun into the chest of my son, who was laying on the ground, already incapacitated, by a shotgun to his upper right thigh. The autopsy confirms he was shot in the chest at point blank range. I call this murder, says Kimberly Beck. This is in USA Today, by the way. What I would soon find out, though, as many family members who've lost ones at the hands of police in this country, is that the Department of Justice does not call it murder. On its website, the Department of Justice laid out its mission prominently. The mission reads in part, to ensure public safety against threats, foreign and domestic, to provide federal leadership in preventing and controlling crime, to seek just punishment for those guilty of unlawful behavior, and to ensure fair, impartial administration of justice for all Americans. Our only chance at justice is to bring a civil rights case against the ranger who killed Gage, who shot him with the gun at point blank range, and then 26 seconds of the body cam footage just disappears. It just goes away because guys like John Kavanaugh, the state senator here, who wrote SB 1300, wait till you get into the meat and potatoes of what SB 1300 says for Arizona residents with the body cam footage. If your son or daughter gets killed, you'll be just like Kimberly Beck. They'll edit the body cam footage and you won't get to see it. It's worse here in Arizona than it is in New Mexico. I'm going to read the rules in a moment. So, Our only chance is to bring a civil rights case against the ranger who killed Gage. But here again, we're faced with the Department of Justice hypocrisy in ensuring fair and impartial administration of justice for all Americans. In March, the government's attorney raised qualified immunity to shield park rangers as well, who killed my son, and absolve him of all responsibility. Qualified immunity is a shield and a sword wielded to bar a civil suit from proceeding until there is previously published case with facts so similar that an officer would have known his actions were unconstitutional. So let me explain what that means. Qualified immunity is a sword and shield to bar civil suits from proceedings unless there's a previously published case with facts so similar that an officer would have known his actions were unconstitutional. So I don't know why Gage was pulled over. If anybody wants to get a hold of Kimberly Beck, she's a contributor to USA Today. Let me show you the bottom page here. Kimberly Beck is she was shot by a park ranger in Carlsbad. It doesn't have her contact information. I'd like to reach Kimberly Beck. I'd like to speak to her about her son's death, because qualified immunity may protect the ranger, but I would almost guarantee you he was pulled over on a pretextual stop, on a Wren stop, Wren versus United States 1996, which is an extension of Terry versus Ohio 1968. Considering he was going through the caverns there in New Mexico through the national park, I guarantee you they pulled him over to see what he was doing. But let's finish. Let's finish the article. It's very short. And then we're going to get into SB 1300. Any Arizona residents, or if you know of any Arizona residents, the guy who wrote SB 1300 is Senator John Kavanaugh, who is an ex-cop of 20 years. You think we want cops writing the body cam footage policies? Do you think that's a good idea? You think we want cops writing the body cam footage policy? Is that A-okay? Is that great? Wait till I read you SB 1300. You can look it up now if you want to. It's SB 1300 by John Kavanaugh in the state of Arizona for the body cam footage. I'm going to read it. A legal precedent in a civil case should not be necessary to know that the shooting of a wounded, unarmed man laying on the ground ought to be brought to a court of law. I agree with you, Kimberly. I agree with you. And adjudicated. A family should be entitled to seek justice in courts and find out the truth of the circumstances that led to their child's death, regardless of who caused that death. Current efforts are insufficient. See, we have this Justice Department that protects these disgusting pigs, that protects these cops. And you got John Kavanaugh, who's an ex-cop of 20 years, who wrote SB 1300. Another pig wrote the body cam footage. Do you see? Do you see what's going on? And then the Department of Justice says you can't bring a civil case unless there's already a case previously that's really close to it. What are you talking about? So then I can't go to a court of law? That goes against my Fifth Amendment due process of law. The missing 26 seconds of body cam footage that could reveal what happened to my son was never released to the family or to the public. So there's 26 seconds missing of Gage's murder that they just don't know what happened. And that's right when they saw the gun to the Gage's chest, and then 26 seconds are missing. Well, how come they can do that? I'm going to give you a clue. It has to do with what John Kavanaugh of Scottsdale District 23 wrote in SB 1300. It's a big precursor clue there. It's foreshadowing for you. I've been told it's missing and it's irretrievable, those 26 seconds right before her son got murdered. It's missing and it's irretrievable. Why do we tax fund body cam footage and then let the cops have it? Why is that? The idea that we have body cam footage is for transparency, so I don't have to go down to the Phoenix State Capitol and say, hey, let's look at SB 1300. We're going to look at that next. It's only a short read here. I've been told it's irretrievable, though there's a chance in some metadata available. This sparked a debate on Capitol Hill over body cameras and the Interior Department's often malfunctioning or missing recording equipment. Do you believe that for a moment, that the moment that her son was murdered by a park ranger, the gun's up to his chest, and then we just missed 26 seconds? Do you believe that for 2 seconds flat? I was born in the night, but I wasn't born last night. The missing 26 seconds of Gage's murder is missing and irretrievable. We may be able to get it off the metadata. J. Kavanagh, that's right, it's K-A-V. It's K-A-V. So the federal government should require the Interior Department body camera equipment to be up to date and functioning. She's just placating here because she knows as well as I do that the agency in New Mexico withdrew the information, took the data off the body cam footage because they have access to it. The police should not have access to the body cam footage so they can watch it later and get their story straight. And that's what's happening. And configured such that it's not possible to edit recorded video. But that's not what's happening. The body cam footage is not configured so the cop can't edit it. It's configured so the cops can edit it, delete it, remove it, lose the footage altogether. Because there's no third party that collects the body cam footage. So now I'm standing in front of the Arizona State Capitol talking about a dead kid named Gage who was killed in New Mexico so that the people of Arizona wake up. Let me wake you up. SB 1300 is worse than the body cam footage legislation in New Mexico. I'm gonna get to that. The use of excessive force by police departments and federal officers must also be addressed. We cannot wait for one more unnecessary death, the death of another mother's child. A large part of the reform police conversation centers around training. No, I don't want to train pigs anymore. I want to get a new third-party agency that films them and takes the body cam footage. And the sole purpose of the third-party agency is to arrest bad cops with subpoena power and arresting power. Say those two terms with me. Subpoena power and arresting power. Not over citizens, over cops. The digital era should be changing everything, but we're allowing ex-cops like John Kavanaugh of District 23 in Scottsdale, Arizona, to write the legislation for the body cam footage in the state of Arizona. Wait till I read that to you. It's even more disgusting. A large part of the centers around training, yet the government has not instituted this sort of training for park rangers. No, I'm sorry, Kimberly Beck, who lost your son Gage with the deepest of sympathies. You're incorrect. We don't need more training of cops. We need a new third-party organization that oversees cops. We don't need more training of more cops. We don't need more training. We don't need more cops. We need a third of the cops. We need half or a third of the current cops, and then we need new organizations for transparency that film cops. It shouldn't be me. It shouldn't be Disorderly Product News. It shouldn't be guys going out like James Freeman and literally filming cops. It should be a third-party tax-funded agency called the Montesquieu, who wrote the book on checks and balances that we stole, that our Constitution is based on, the Spirit of Laws. It's a 29-book volume set that you can listen to on YouTube for free if you want to listen. The current culture of law enforcement wherein an officer feels justified in resorting to the use of deadly force needs to change. Yeah, we got to take away their guns and give them defensive weapons so they can defend themselves, protect the victim. And if there's a psychopath, let everybody see the psychopath. Put him on film. Show them that guy's a psychopath. Nobody wants a psychopath in their neighborhood. Nobody wants that. Qualified immunity allows those who do wrong to hide from justice, a police system. So, Kimberly Beck, I would need to know why your son was stopped in New Mexico. I would bet my pinky it has to do with a Terry stop. I would bet my pinky it has to do with the Terry stop. Terry's the linchpin. 90% of stops are Terry stops. My son was 25 years old. He had a heart of gold. I cannot change what's happened to my son on that day in New Mexico, but our country can, in his name, change the systems that led to his death. I call on President Biden. President Biden is in a nurse home right now eating yogurt and applesauce. And give me my fork. You're going to call on President Biden? The guy's asleep at the wheel. There's no one home. The lights are on. The windshield wipers are doing this. And Biden is... He's asleep. You can't call on. I call on Biden. I wish, Kimberly. I'm not mocking you. I'm really sorry. I don't appreciate the current administration. So, Kimberly Beck, if you're watching this or you see this, please don't think I'm mocking you. I got to change my tone a little bit. Sorry about that. I forgot I'm talking about your son here. So, with respect. So she calls on President Biden and Attorney General Garland to immediately implement in their own backyard the reforms they're touting for police departments across America. The federal government should be leading here, and they're not. Kimberly Beck is the mother of Charles Lawrence, who was shot by a park ranger in March of 2020. And right when they put the gun to his chest, the next 26 seconds of body cam footage, boop, are missing. Where'd they go? They're irretrievable. We can't get them back. The moment your son was shot, the body cam malfunctioned. Can you believe that, Kimberly? Sorry. Wally World's closed. Everybody go home, right? That's what we're dealing with here. So now let's take a look. Now let's take a look at the reason why I'm down in front of the Arizona State Senate building here, the capital of Phoenix, right down here in Phoenix, Arizona. Why am I standing right here right now? How come I'm standing in front of the state capitol building, the executive tower, where the senators go? Why am I standing here? Because I'm talking to you, John Kavanaugh, ex-cop, ex-pig. Half the people don't respect you at all whatsoever. Trust me, half of us hate you, dude. Half of us hate cops because we've been cheated and railroaded and beaten and taken to the dungeon as the cops like, hey, I'm just doing my job here. No, dude, you take people to a dungeon. So the body cam footage here in Arizona is called SB 1300. It's written by Senator John Kavanaugh, who's in the 23rd District in Scottsdale, Arizona. John Kavanaugh is an ex-pig of 20 years. He's the one that wrote the body cam footage. He's the one that wrote the rules for the body cam footage here in Arizona. You want to see a real peach? Let me open up a peach for you. Let me really enjoy the peach for you. So it's all listed by number here. It's all listed out by number. I'm gonna read it nice and slow so that you guys all understand that an ex-cop wrote this, who's now an Arizona state senator. Is anybody challenging John Kavanaugh? I don't want cops in legislation, do you? I don't want ex-cops in legislation, do you? Why is John Kavanaugh a legislator in Arizona? Why do we want cops as legislators? We don't. You're on their team, you're not on our team. You're on the blue team according to the Mullen Commission. You're on their team, you're not on our team, John. And let me tell you something, John, this is the tip of the iceberg because I'm here in Phoenix right now. I'll be seeing you soon, brother. I'm gonna come up and ask you some questions face to face so that people can understand why you wrote this hunk of garbage for the body cam footage here in Arizona. Here's what it starts off with. Law enforcement officer's body cam includes a video and audio recording device that is worn. Non-recordable incidents mean incidents that is not recordable incident. A recordable incident means an incident involving the following. So here's a recordable incident according to John Kavanaugh, ex-cop. He's the one who wrote this. A law enforcement action, the investigation of a suspicious person or subject, the handling of an emotional disturbed person, the generation of a complaint involving an activity listed in subsection A, B, or C. Any activity is likely to lead to a criminal or civil court action is recordable. Any activities in which all of the involved parties consent to the recording and the recording is not otherwise prohibited by law. I don't need these. Let me just put these in my pocket while the train passes over here. Anybody live in Scottsdale, Arizona? Anybody live where John Kavanaugh's district is? I'm not gonna be able to talk over that train, but anybody live where John Kavanaugh? Anybody have any friends in Scottsdale, Arizona, in District 23? That's where John Kavanaugh his district is. He's the ex-cop of 20 years who wrote the body cam footage procedures for the state of Arizona. We have an ex-cop deciding what cops do with body cam footage. An ex-cop wrote what cops do with the body cam footage. It gets juicy. This gets real juicy in just a paragraph. Let this train go by and I'll read the next paragraph to you guys. How's everybody doing? Where's everybody from? Drop down where you guys are watching from. Drop down where you guys are watching from. Woo! Drop down where you guys are watching from. I'm really grateful that this channel is growing and that the people are united under the banner of liberty. That we want freedom. Oh yeah, the Institute of Justice. Did anybody go on the Institute of Justice's YouTube page? And did you see the comments that I left? I tore them apart. Good to see you, Jasper. Good to see you. Nice to see you, Roland. How you doing, Larry? How you doing, Larry? Good to see you. Good to see you, 10th Pete, Mike. Good to see you. Is the train blocking me now? New Mexico. Anybody from Scottsdale? Anybody know anybody in Scottsdale in District 23? Ohio's in the house. Maryland. Hawaii watching. Good to see you, Hawaii. Thanks for coming by. Vancouver, Canada. The babes in Vancouver, Canada. The women in Vancouver. Magnificent. So. What's up, Mississippi? How you doing? Yeah, you guys hit your thumbs up button. 180 people in the room, you guys. Hit your thumbs up button. Do you see your thumbs up button? While we have this little break right here, do me a favor and just hit your thumbs up button. Just hit that thumbs. You see the thumbs up button? It's either there or it's right there. But hit that little thumbs up button for me if you would, pretty please. And then I'm gonna finish up. Reading of SB 1300. I think that train has passed. So this is the actual legislation that a cop wrote for the Arizona cops. An ex-cop of 20 years who's now a state senator in Arizona wrote the body cam footage that are the rules for the body cam footage for cops. I mean, we could clip this out, that little piece right there, and that could be the 1-minute video, right? Just a total and disgusting display of authoritarianism and it's just nasty. So now, as we continue down the line here, so any activity in which all of the parties involved consent to the recording and the recording is not otherwise prohibited by law. Any activities that the law enforcement determines should be recorded. Okay, now, that's just the beginning, saying that the legalities of when you can record and what can you record. Let me just tell you something. Everything should be recorded, and then we should get the footage. So this whole first part should just be X'd out. Every interaction with a cop is recorded, and the people get the body cam footage. That's what they skip all that crap. Skip all that crap right there. Skip all of that crap. Skip every bit of it. The people get the footage. It's just that simple. That's how it should be. Transylvania, Pennsylvania. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. So now here's the next part. And this is the part that you're gonna really wanna pay attention to. This is the part where it says camera operations. The camera operations listed in SB 1300. A law enforcement agency may employ a law enforcement officer's body cam footage that operates on a continuous basis or camera that is manually turned on or off by the law enforcement officer. So the body cam footage can be turned on and off by the cop. You want that? Is that what you want? Does that get us the transparency we need? Or if the cop can turn it on and off, does that take away transparency? Is that what that does? Because if the cop can turn on and off the body cam footage, then that takes away transparency, doesn't it? Doesn't that? That's what that does, right? If the cop can turn it on and off, we don't want that. We don't want that. We want a third-party agency sitting behind a desk with multiple people so there can be no shenanigans, and we turn it on and off, the people. For the following if a body camera is continuously on, a law enforcement may turn it off. Great. For the following a private conversation or an activity. Hey, no, when you're a cop and you're wearing a badge and carrying a gun, you don't have any private conversations in that uniform, bud, because we don't trust you guys. You're the scourge of our country. I see all these homeless people walking around in LA. You're the scourge. I'm not afraid of the homeless people. They're not gonna shoot me and get away with it and then hide the 26 seconds of body cam footage. You are, copper. You're the terrorist in our country. You are literally the terrorist. When you pull behind people, you terrorize them immediately and you get off on it. It's disgusting because there's no third party for checks and balances. A private conversation, law enforcement is related to the person, including personal phone calls, use of the bathroom facilities. A conversation with the person who's not a suspect or the object of law enforcement action when the person requests that the body cam footage be turned off. Well, let me go back to 2002 when I was no-knock raided by Chief of Police Michael Moore. Apparently they had a private conversation with someone who told them that I was a drug dealer, and then they got a warrant and no-knock raided my house. I'd love to hear that conversation, the person who accused me of being a drug dealer. Oh, but In today's world, 2022, 20 years later, they can turn it off if it's a private conversation and the confidential informant says, hey, can you turn that body cam footage off? They can turn it off. It's to their benefit. For the following recordable incidents, a conversation between law enforcement officers that relates to the handling of an incident. So if the conversation between law enforcement officers has to do with the handling of the incident, do you think they're getting their story straight there? Shouldn't we be able to hear that conversation? I don't want the cops to beat someone up or kill someone and then get together and have a private conversation where they turn on, hey man, he lunged for you. He did lunge for you. He lunged for you. Yeah, he lunged. Before there was body cams in 2012, if you go back to Wikipedia and you read people who were killed by police, often, all throughout it says he lunged for my gun. How many videos do we have now? How many videos do you see of people actually trying to grab a cop's gun? How many hundreds of thousands of videos are there of cops on camera? And how many times have you seen someone lunge for the cop's gun? Never. It never happens. Never. Once a bloom. I've seen it. I have seen it. I saw a guy try to grab a cop's gun one time. I saw it on video. I can remember the one time I saw it. The one time. For the following recordable, a conversation between law enforcement and including information about and any involved parties and actionable options. The law enforcement officer must announce on the recording that the body camera is being turned off. So you have to announce that the body camera is being turned off, and then you go have a powwow and get your story straight. Hey, I'm turning off the body cam footage. I turn it off. Hey, Jim, he lunged at me. You saw that, right? He lunged, didn't he? Yeah, he lunged, Bob. He lunged. So the last page, page 3, this is where it really gets delicious, where you really understand that we don't have any transparency. The body cams are just a way for the cops to make snuff films because we're not going to get to see it. I feel sorry for Kimberly Beck, but listen to what happens in Arizona. And the reason why I'm making this video right here in front of the state capitol is because when your son or daughter in Arizona gets murdered by the cops, I'm gonna say, I told you guys, it was SB 13. You didn't get the body cam footage, did you? No, we did not. You can't get it, can you? No, we can't. And why can't you? Because the last page. When the suspect or object of law enforcement action makes a request on the recording the body cam footage be turned off, and the law enforcement officer consents to turning off the body cam footage. No! I don't want the cop agreeing with the suspect to turn off the body cam footage. I don't want that. That is not transparency. That's where the cop's gonna make a deal with the guy to be an informant for him, carry drugs for him, and then later that guy will be killed by the DEA. The DEA kills their informants all the time. It's disgusting. A body camera that is turned off pursuant to this item shall be turned back on if the situation expands beyond more than a mere discussion. And so who decides that? The cop does. No, we don't want that. The point of body cam footage is for transparency. This item does not apply during the investigation of a domestic violence offense if the law enforcement agency has a written policy that requires the recording of domestic violence investigations. So the law enforcement agency, the sheriff, the city, the town, the borough, whatever cop, whatever their agency says is the policy for turning on and off the body cam footage. Do you want a law enforcement agency deciding the policy for body cam footage, or does the body cam footage belong to the people? Why do I want the Arizona sheriffs or the Tempe or the Mesa Police Department making their body cam footage policy? We don't. That's not the point of body cam footage. That's not why we have body cam footage. I don't have it so that the cops can decide when they turn on and off their body cam, and the agency will decide when they do that. That's not why we have body cam footage, so the police department can make up a policy. That is not why we have body cam footage. And Kimberly Beck in New Mexico, rest in peace, may Gage rest in peace. There's gonna be more dead bodies here in Arizona that you're not gonna get the body cam footage because the police department decided when they turn on body cam footage and when they don't. When all parties consent to the recording. Now here's the part that is the most juicy of SB 1300. SB 1300 written by John Kavanaugh, Arizona State Senator, ex-cop of 20 years. John Kavanaugh's name is on the front of this documentation right here, written by John Kavanaugh. Do you see where it says Senator Kavanaugh right there? Senator Kavanaugh was a cop for 20 years. He wrote the body policy, the body camera policy for the state of Arizona, and this passed the Senate in Arizona. So do you think maybe there's a problem there that an ex-cop is writing the body cam footage policy for the state of Arizona? Anybody live in District 23 in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Phoenix? Anybody live in District 23? Because John Kavanaugh's got to go. I don't want a cop as a senator. Do you? I don't want a cop as a senator. I don't want a cop in government power. I don't want them carrying guns. I don't want cops, period. But we have to have a few of them for the actual bad people. And then we need to have supervision for those few tyrants that we keep on payroll. You have to have someone who's going to go in there and shoot someone else, because I don't want to shoot anybody, to be honest. Viewing and erasing body camera recordings. Do you see this? This is an SB 1300. I saved this last paragraph for the very end. The viewing and erasing camera recordings in the state of Arizona is written by an ex-cop of 20 years. And so when you hear viewing and erasing camera recordings, you got to get a little weary, considering that we just read Kimberly Beck's story, whose son Gage was killed in New Mexico, and the 26 seconds of footage when her son died, it disappeared and it's irretrievable. We can't find it. The metadata may have it. We'll have to look and see. Did you find it, Billy? We didn't find it, Captain. Real sorry. Your son who got killed, the 26 seconds where he was murdered, we're missing that footage. We just can't get it back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. What happened? I don't know. Your son was murdered during that 20. We just happened to lose it during that time. That's all. It was an accident. Except as authorized by this section, only a recordable incident may be viewed by any person. Except as authorized by this section, only a recordable incident may be viewed by any person. That doesn't make any sense. During the retrieval of a recordable incident, only the actual incident may be viewed, and only enough activity before and after the incident to ensure that the incident has been captured in its entirety. So they need to check the before and after of the body cam footage to make sure that the whole incident was recovered, or so the cop can get his bullshit story straight. So the cops can get their story straight as to what they're going to say is going to happen. Because remember, in the first section, they can turn their body cameras off when they're going to discuss an incident. So they review the body cam footage, the beginning, the minute before it, the minute after it. They review what happened to the guy that they killed, and then they say, oh, body camera's turning off. They turn it off. They go powwow in the bathroom, and they go, he lunged for me, didn't he, Jimmy? He did lunge for you. So it can only be reviewed so to make sure you got the whole incident. Is that like South Dakota versus Opperman, 1976? Is that what that is? South Dakota versus Opperman, an extension of Terry versus Ohio, says that the cops can search and inventory your car. Inventory your car for you. They're inventorying it for you, for your safety. Making sure everything's in your car for your safety. Is that what this is right here? We need to review it to make sure during the retrieval of a recordable incident, and only the actual incident may be viewed, and only enough activity before and after to make sure the whole thing was captured. You sure? Why you wrote that, John Kavanaugh, ex-cop of 20 years that wrote SB 1300 for the state of Arizona? You think that's really the reason why? So you get the whole incident, or maybe to get your bullshit story straight? What do you think it is? What do you guys think it is? You think it's to get their bullshit story straight? I think it's to get their bullshit story straight. That's what I think. It gets far worse. It gets far worse. During camera system maintenance or repair, the person who conducts the maintenance or repair shall conduct the work outside of the view and hearing of any other person, and may not view non-recordable incidents if possible. What a load of poo in your pants. Go talk to anybody who's ever worked at Apple. They looked all through your photos. They looked all through your videos. They watch everything. They look at everything. Don't bring your phone into Apple and think that they're not going to look at every single video on your phone. They are. If you got pictures with you and your chick on there, and you guys are playing patty cake, all right, don't think that the tech inside of Apple's not going to see your patty cake videos. He is. Okay? But during maintenance, Is that what happened to Gage's video? Did they lose the 26 seconds of him being murdered during maintenance? A law enforcement officer who wears a body camera may request that any incident that is recorded be saved for future viewing because the officer believes it may later become a recordable incident. E, a law enforcement officer who is investigating another law enforcement officer. Lies, lies, lies. How many people here have the Mullen Commission? I sent it off to hundreds of people. How many people here have the Mullen Commission? Tell me right now, how many people, how many of you guys have read the Mullen Commission? I sent it off to hundreds and hundreds of people. I've sent off the Mullen Commission to hundreds of people. This says here, a law enforcement officer who's investigating another law enforcement officer. Cut, that's the joke. Ha ha ha! That's funny. I read the Mullen. I read the Knapp. You're lying. You're not investigating anybody unless you want to get that cop off the force because he's a good cop. There's no cops investigating bad cops. That's a bullshit lie. Don't lie to us. We read the Mullen Commission. We read the Knapp Commission. If you guys haven't read it, you hit me with an email, deletelaws@gmail.com. Delete laws with a Z at Gmail. I'll send you the Mullen Commission. And then when you read law enforcement, investigating law enforcement officer, you can say that's a crock of crap. Ooh, I'm getting so mad my retainer's popping out. I get so, God. It's a lie. Don't lie to me. I've read the literature. So, F, the law enforcement officer who was wearing the body cam may review any recording made by the body camera. Full stop. Let me read it again. SB 1300, written by an ex-cop. A law enforcement officer who was wearing the body camera may review any recording made by the body camera. What? No, dude. We do not want cops doing that. We do not want them reviewing the body cam footage. We want it taken immediately. They write their story out by hand, and then we compare the body cam footage to their bullshit story. We do not want cops getting the body cam footage to review it. We do not want that. Arizona State Senator John Kavanaugh is an ex-cop of 20 years. He's the one who wrote that. I wonder why he wrote that. So the cop can watch what's on the body cam, get his bullshit story straight. May review anybody, if available, either before writing a report or testifying in court or at a hearing. It just gets better, doesn't it? He can review the body cam footage, if available, either before writing a report. I mean, I just said it. Get your bullshit story straight. He can review the body cam footage before he writes his report. He misremembered that he hit that guy in the head with his stick and cracked his skull. He was resisting. But the body cam footage doesn't show the tussle. It was just off camera where he shimmied. He shook. You can't see it on the body cam footage. I watched it back. You can't really see it. So the cop can review the body cam footage to write his story? An ex-cop wrote this. That's why. And he can write it when he's writing a report or testifying in court or at a hearing. Okay, now here's where G, H, and I, the last three sections of this, Kimberly Beck with your son Gage, who was killed in New Mexico, this is gonna be hard for you to hear, Kimberly. I'm sorry. This is gonna be tough. This is tough. The law enforcement, so then this says, only recordable incidents may be saved and all recordable incidents must be erased after all legal actions or complaints and any associated appeals relating to the recordable incident are resolved. So Kimberly Beck, whose son Gage was killed, the police can say that it was all resolved and so we deleted that footage. That's what that says. Don't let that read how you think it reads. That is not how that reads. What that says is that once the incident has been resolved, they can erase the body cam footage. Who decides if the incident was resolved? The police department does. They decide. Kimberly Beck, your son was killed, the 26 seconds are missing. There's no previous litigation for this, so it's been resolved. We deleted everything. That's what that says. The cops can delete the body cam footage as soon as they feel as though it's all been resolved. It was all resolved. We deleted it. The law enforcement agency shall erase all non-recordable incidents within 60 days after recording the incident. the law enforcement agency shall erase all non-recordable, what? Just a total and utter, it just goes back to her article that Kimberly wrote in USA Today, a complete and utter lack of transparency. And where'd you hear those words before? In the 1994 Mullen Commission. The exact same words are written in the Mullen Commission that says a complete and utter lack of transparency, that they call them the anti-corruption organizations within law enforcement have never been successful because the investigation gets cut short or the funds dry up or they lose enthusiasm. That's in the Mullen Commission. A complete and utter lack of transparency. Kimberly Beck wrote the same words in her USA Today article about her son Gage that was shot in the chest at point blank range, and the 26 seconds when he got shot just disappeared. But now the law enforcement agency shall erase all non-recordable incidents. Who decides what's non-recordable? They do. They decide. Not a third party. Not a third party who says, you know what? Let's keep this on a hard drive in case someone comes back because this cop did some crap here. But the worst part of this entire SB 1300, the absolute worst part of SB 1300, written by ex-cop John Kavanaugh, who is the state senator in District 23 in Scottsdale, Arizona. John Kavanaugh is an ex-cop of 20 years. State Senator Kavanaugh. The very worst part of everything is the very last line of SB 1300. It's called Section I, the very last one. If the recordable incident involves the arrest or handling of an emotional distressed person, the law enforcement officers who were involved consent the recordable incident may be saved and used for training purposes. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's on the next page. Let me keep reading. So now this is the last section I was talking about. See where it says the release of body cam recordings? Do you see where it says the release of body cam recordings? Do you see that? Do you see it? This is where SB 1300, if you're just a regular old, if you take the short bus to school, the last part of SB 1300, you don't have to be smart. You don't have to be a constitutional law scholar. You don't have to have an A in government. What I'm going to read to you right now should make you want to turn and puke. This is disgusting. Release of body cam recordings. So let's go back to Kimberly Beck. Her son Gage was killed by the cops. Notwithstanding, any other law or recording made by a law enforcement officer's body cam is not public record. Who pays for that? You mean after the social security number is redacted, after the phone number is redacted, after the address is redacted, it's not public information? Yes, it is, John Kavanaugh, you ex-cop piece of garbage. John Kavanaugh in District 23 in Scottsdale, Arizona, who needs to be voted out. He's 71 years old. What does he have in common with you? He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't, I'm sorry. There's A, B, and C. So part A, it says it's not a part of public record. So if the body cam footage shows your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or your lover being killed by the cops, that's not public record. Sorry. According to SB 1300, written by an ex-cop, doesn't account. B, a recordable incident may be released to the public only by a court order or a subpoena. So that means a recordable incident where the cops murder someone in Arizona can only be released to the public by a court order or by a subpoena. Well, the judges and the cops are working together. The DA and the cops, they're buddies. They go to the same barbecues together, and the judge is their friend. And oh, that's Tim. Oh, he works with John. Oh yeah, and they're best friends with Sue and Barb. They all work together. So the only way that your body cam footage of your son being murdered can be released is by a court order or by a subpoena. But you're not going to get the body cam footage of your loved one being murdered in Arizona. You're not going to get the footage. You're not getting the footage because it's the very last line, Section C of the very last line on SB 1300. You're not getting the body cam footage in Arizona unless we get rid of SB 1300. Notwithstanding, subsection B of this section, a recordable incident may be released to the public, including the media, if the incident involves a law enforcement officer's use of or attempted use of deadly physical force, So it's going to be released to the public. And the law enforcement agency consents to the release of the video. Your son or daughter gets murdered, and it's a deadly incident. You got to get a court order or a subpoena, and then, even then, the law enforcement agency consents to the release of the body cam footage being released, because the agency, the law enforcement agency, they own the body cam footage, not the public, not the public. The agency, the law agency, the Mesa Police Department, the Scottsdale Police Department, the Shitsbekistan Police Department, they have to consent to the release of John Kavanaugh. You are dog, dude. You are worse than a mangy flea. No, I love dogs. You are the worst. You're the belly of a rattlesnake, John Kavanaugh. You are the belly of a rattlesnake. And the state senators in Arizona who signed off on this, you should be ashamed of yourself. I hope it's your son or daughter. I hope it's your husband, your uncle, your brother, your lover. I hope it happens to you. I hope that your son or daughter is the one on the tip of the barrel, and that a cop kills your son, and then you can't get the body cam footage because you signed off on this trash. Why do we allow the cops to control the body cam footage in Arizona? I'll tell you why. It's very simple, and that is because the body cam footage legislation was written by John Kavanaugh. A very simple Google search lets you know that John Kavanaugh was an ex-cop of 20 years, and he wrote the body cam footage. He's a professor now at Scottsdale Community College. Let me just tell you something. You ex-cops out there, you don't get a pass from me. You're still a piece of garbage. You still took people to the dungeon. You still put handcuffs on people and tortured them. When I hear an ex-cop start to talk, I did a podcast when I very first came out publicly in June or July, and I started speaking in front of the camera. I did a podcast with David C. Smiley, and they brought an ex-cop on there. And the people who were in the room with me, they couldn't understand why I was just whipping this guy with a spiked whip. Because he's the guy that took people to the dungeon. Anybody got any family in Arizona? Anybody have any family in SB 1300 in District 23 in Scottsdale, where John Kavanaugh is the senator? Because I don't want an ex-cop being a senator. I don't want a Senator Kavanaugh. I don't want an ex-cop being a senator. Do you? Do you want an ex-cop writing the legislation that says that even in a specific point of deadly use of force, that on page 4, it's only 4 pages, it's an easy read. M-Star Media just put it up there. Thank you, M-Star, appreciate that. The very last one says that it can be released to the public, including the media, if the law enforcement agency agrees. So just imagine that for a moment. Let's just say for a moment, I'm the king of pigs at Scottsdale Police Department, and one of my cops who works for me, he kills someone in Scottsdale. And then the media calls me and says, "Hey, Captain, release that body cam footage." What do I say to the media? What do I say to them? No, I don't agree. And according to the legislation created, says that I have to agree. And if I'm the king of pigs at Scottsdale Police Department, well, then I don't have to release the body cam footage. And your son or your daughter who was brutally murdered, no one's going to see that. Just like they did to Gage. Just like they did to Gage. Now let's compare what Kimberly Bell wrote compared to the Mullen Commission of 1994. An utter lack of transparency and justice. This is the exact same line in the Mullen Commission of 1994, that we can't get transparency and justice in policing because there is no third-party organization. It doesn't exist. Why doesn't it? We paid over $250 million in New York City last year for police abuse. We could hire a third-party agency, defund the internal affairs investigation, and have $500 million for a guy with a camera who's on the opposite side of the cops and wants to catch them doing something bad. Just like James Madison said, we have to have men's ambition to counter men's ambition. Why don't we have that? Why don't we have it? Why don't we? It won't get better. It's not gonna get better. You got cops. You got ex-cops writing the legislation for body cam footage in Arizona. How do you think it's gonna go? How do you think it's gonna go when an ex-cop of 20 years is writing the body cam footage policy and then these guys are rubber stamping it? This is the Phoenix State Capitol building right here. You guys do me a favor, hit your like button. Just reach over and hit your like button. You see your like button right down there, and drop right down here. Where are you guys watching from? Is anybody from Alaska? Anybody from Florida, from California? Anybody from New Mexico? I'm gonna be traveling here a little bit. I wanna make some friends all over the country. Anaheim, California, Texas. Terry versus Ohio, M-Star, thank you so much. Yorktown, Virginia. I'm suing a guy out of Virginia, a guy named Jolly Ginger. I'm suing his ass, so I'll be in Virginia. I was gonna file in a different district court, but I'm gonna file right there in the district court in Virginia. I'm gonna sue his ass in Virginia. Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, as someone just said, this makes all cops bad. The reason why is because they get to review the body cam footage. Just like in Gage's murder. Gage is murdered, and then you get to Long Beach, Brookhaven, Ems, Maryland. Is that Maryland or Massachusetts? Asheville, North Carolina, Indiana, Connecticut. Good to see you guys. Oh, good news, everybody. The t-shirts are in. T-shirts are in. I'll be shipping t-shirts tomorrow. If you guys ordered a t-shirt for me, remind me. I have the names. I don't have a photographic memory, but pretty good. I have a list of names on my PayPal and Venmo. I got another 60 t-shirts in. So I got t-shirts coming in. They're in the van right now. I have them in the van right now. So I got hoodies in too. I got hoodies in today. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to putting those out tomorrow. Can't wait. Knoxville, Tennessee. Good to see you. New York City. How are the mandates going there in New York City? How are things going in New York City? Albuquerque. Perfect timing. My phone is down to 10%. I got t-shirts in, guys. I got double XL. I got L. I'm gonna sell them one at a time, just like I do tomorrow. You guys got to tune in tomorrow if you want a t-shirt. I'm not gonna go through this big arduous process. It's terrible. I'm good at law. I'm terrible at t-shirts. Yeah, SK, just hit me on a DM, SK. Anybody who bought a t-shirt from me, people bought t-shirts from me a little over 2 weeks ago now. The t-shirts are in. I got them in my van right now, so they'll ship tomorrow. Anybody who ordered a t-shirt, I got hoodies in too. Yep, I got hoodies in too. I'll show them tomorrow. I was gonna wear one tonight. I got sweatshirts in. I got hoodie sweatshirts in. So yeah, I got 10% left. This phone's gonna die any minute. You guys, listen, thanks a lot. Listen, you guys need to, I don't know. You know, it's one thing to say flood call and do all these different things, but the simple fact of the matter is you got an ex-cop, John Kavanaugh, who's writing the legislation for the body cam footage rules. What do you think we're gonna get? We're gonna get garbage like that. That's what's gonna happen. All right, you got any questions? I'll get out of here. Any more questions, anybody? Cops don't care about being accountable. They just want to collect. Oh yeah. We know this. Listen, you know, I'm not nice to cops because they take people to a dungeon and they put them in the cage and they cuff them up and they hurt them. And so I don't like that. You know, I don't know if voting's going to work if you vote for an ex-cop. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys want to buy me a cup of coffee, there's my PayPal. I appreciate that. I do a cup of coffee fund. 100% the way I make a living is just by doing this. So if you guys want to buy me a cup of coffee, you can go to my website, Delete Laws with a Z. You can get a copy of my poster or my ebook. I should try to do more promos as I do this stuff, but that's not why I got into this. I got into this because I actually care, you know, and I have to change this. I don't have a wife and kids. This is my mission. I don't have to go home and take care of a child. I don't have a wife that is going to need me to, you know, to do the things a husband has to do when he has a wife. Some of those things are nice. But anyway, so, all right, well, I'll get out of here. Right up on 60 minutes, coming super close. Someone super close. Nice talk. SB 1300, John Kavanaugh. Do we call the Arizona state senators, or is it going to matter? You know, is it gonna matter? I don't know if it's even gonna matter, to be honest with you. I don't even know if it's gonna matter. You guys, make sure you do me a favor, share this video with anybody you know that lives in Arizona. Share this video with anybody you know who lives in Arizona. You guys are gonna see, this is gonna bite Arizona in the butt. someone's going to get killed by the cops. They're going to hide the body cam footage or erase it like they did with Gage and Kimberly Beck. You guys reach out to Kimberly Beck. She's a contributor for USA Today, so she shouldn't be too hard to find. If anybody can find Kimberly Beck, I'd like to speak to her. I'd like to interview her. I'd like to interview Kimberly Beck. If anybody can find Kimberly Beck, she's the one who wrote the article about her son Gage in New Mexico, who was killed in a national park there. So if anybody can find Kimberly Beck, I would like to speak with her. I would like to interview her and talk to her a little bit more about her son's death. She is taking a constitutional case to the court, so I'd like to give her as much light and attention as we possibly can put on her, for sure, because these are the cases that are gonna change everything for us. There's deletelaws.com. If you guys want to get a poster or an ebook, it's right there. Thank you so much, M-Star. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate all your support. It really means a lot to me, and I'm going to keep doing it. I actually have 4 more things to do today. There's 4 more things on my list today. I got the t-shirts done. I got this talk done. I have 4 more items that I want to cover today that I want to have out for you guys by tomorrow. I have a vicious audit. I have probably the most vicious thing you've ever seen someone do to police. You're gonna see tomorrow. What I did to these 2 cops sitting in their car, I destroyed them because I don't have any respect for these guys. Until there's a third-party organization for checks and balances, you sign up to be a part of the Death Star. You sign up to be a part of Darth Vader. Sorry, bro, you signed up to hurt people. You didn't sign up to be a therapist or a counselor or to be a teacher. You signed up to hurt people, especially when you put handcuffs on people. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Tomorrow's audit, you guys are gonna see, I walk up to these 2 cops and I just literally hammered these guys. I mean, it's really mean. I'm just telling you, it's mean. It's mean. And they didn't know I was a constitutional scholar. They had no idea. I was just hammering them. When I see them sitting in their car, like, I actually enjoy to watch most people eat because I think eating is a very human thing, and I actually get a real joy out of seeing other people enjoy their food. It's very strange, but I do. When I see other people eat food, I'm like, thank God that person has something to eat today. I saw these 2 cops eating, and I just thought to myself, you're just feeding the beast. You're feeding the parasites. And so I just walked up to him and I just said, you'll see tomorrow. The audit I'm releasing tomorrow is vicious. It is vicious. I'm talking, it is vicious. It is vicious. All right, you guys reach up and hit your like button. If you would, hit your like button, and make sure you like, comment, and share. I'm learning the YouTube lingo. Tomorrow, you guys, wait till you guys see it tomorrow. Oh, it's brutal. This is the most brutal thing I've ever done. You'll see it. All right, anyway, I'll get out of here. Thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for your support. I do appreciate it. Tomorrow's audit, I was actually afraid to release it because I don't want to lose the parents who are teaching the kids. But I just have to let the cops know how I really feel about them. That's how I feel about you, dude. Those cops in New York City that got killed, I didn't lose a tear. I didn't go to their Facebook page and tell them that I think that their loved ones are burning in hell. I didn't do that. But I thought about it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and we're going to overturn Terry eventually. T-shirts for tomorrow, guys. I'll go on live tomorrow. I'll sell the T-shirts I have tomorrow. I'll sell them all at one time, and then I'm done with it. Like the 10 people have been waiting on T-shirts. It's such pressure on me. You have no idea, because I have their money, and once I have someone's money, then I have to deliver. And so the T-shirt printing shop got delayed, and the amount of pressure on me having someone's money and not giving them their shirt right away, it's weighing on me. I can't wait to ship your shirts tomorrow. I can't wait. I can't wait. So yeah, anyway, I'll get out of here. Thanks for your time, to you guys. God bless you. God bless America, and stay strong. All right, stay strong. I'll see you soon. Later, guys.